Join me for the next interview as Arielle and I will talk about Treat Yourself Gently, New Mama. Arielle Martone is a doctor of physical therapy, a neuro-clinical specialist, a certified yoga teacher, and a certified pre- and postnatal coach turned mama coach after overcoming postpartum depression and pelvic pain. Arielle helps new moms reconnect mind, body, and soul in order to reclaim their identity after baby so they can feel amazing in their bodies and confident in their new role as mother. Grab your coconuts, whatever that means, and be ready to be inspired and empowered.
Welcome, Arielle. It's such a pleasure and an honor to welcome you today on the Coconut Soul Spirit show. I know last time we spoke, you were inspiring, empowering, and today I'm sure it's going to be the same for our viewers. They'll be able to grab a lot of insightful information for their self-love journey. This being said, let's start with your self-love journey, Arielle. Could you tell us a bit how it all started?
Sure, absolutely. And I just wanted to say thank you for having me on, Nikki. I loved our conversation last time, so I am very much looking forward to it again today.
Me too.
But yeah, so my self-love journey, I would like to say that it was kind of evolving my whole life, but I don't know how true that always is. There's been pieces of it. There's been times where I felt it more. But as with anything in life, I think it is a journey and it's a practice. And there are definitely times where you think you have it, you think you're grasping at it, and then it's fleeting and it goes away. And there was never more of a time for me than postpartum. So after I had my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And with everything that comes postpartum, the physical changes, the emotional changes. I did have postpartum depression after my second.
Was it diagnosed or did you just?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was diagnosed with my daughter. I had a period of time with my son where I, was definitely questioning my ability to be a mother. I had to go through IVF for both of my children. His birth ended up being an emergency C-section. We struggled initially with breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were able to resolve that.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of self-doubt and, was I meant for this type of thoughts flowing through my head? So I wonder, looking back, hindsight, probably had some postpartum depression then as well. That time it was not diagnosed. And I feel like for me, the lines can be kind of blurry between like, what is that postpartum baby blues that, what's considered normal versus that postpartum depression. If you're looking at a textbook, it says that for baby blues, it's very short-lived, a couple of days to a few weeks. But what is a few weeks really? Is it, 2 to 4 weeks? Is it that whole first 6 weeks? Like who knows? I don't know. I think it's very different from one person to another. But with my daughter, it was diagnosed. It definitely lasted more than the first 3 months, which was what I was noticing with my son. And it was a bit different feeling. A lot of that self-doubt again was sneaking up. A lot of that not good enough feeling. Basically the self-love was gone. Whatever self-love I thought I had, I thought I was a pretty confident person prior to having kids.
It's challenging to have kids. It does put us in this other space where we don't know. And
we don't know anything. And especially when, we are so trained to constantly be seeking out what to do next, at least, professionally, we have this path laid out ahead of us. Our identities can kind of be tied to that a little bit of like what we do, who we are in that sense.
Yes.
And so I didn't have that because I knew I was taking more time to be at home and I wanted to. That was my decision. I was owning that choice. or I thought I was, because I was making that decision, but it still felt very heavy. And I wasn't, even though it was the decision I wanted to make, I felt a little bit lost in it, trying to re-identify myself outside of my roles as a physical therapist. And trying to define myself as a mother with, again, all that self-doubt kind of in the back of my mind. And I definitely felt lost, trying to, lost and disconnected from myself. And I feel like, in order to really love yourself, you have to know yourself first. And when you feel lost and disconnected, like that self-love is just, it's gone. It's hard to love someone you don't know. And then there's a bit of, the physical aspect of it as well. Just your body feeling foreign. I had pelvic pain, which was uncomfortable to say the least, and changing things. And the thing was with my daughter is she looked like me, or at least definitely early on, she looked like me. And I would look into her eyes and I would just think, but you are so beautiful. You are so perfect. And it hit me like, why can't I see that in myself? Why can't I say that to myself, especially when she looks like me? So that was kind of that first trigger of like, okay, we gotta start working on this a bit more. And I never wanted her to feel the way that I was feeling in that moment.
I understand.
And it was, kind of diving into the information that we co-regulate with our babies, meaning like early on, their nervous system's still developing, their bodies and brains are still developing. So they depend on us for literally everything, temperature regulation. When you do skin to skin, you can help regulate your baby's body temperature. You help regulate their nervous system. So whatever state you're in, your baby is going to be in. So if you're in a really
everything,
and they absorb it like a sponge. They're a sponge, and they kind of reflect that out. So if you're really anxious, your baby is going to feel that and feed off of that. If you're really down and depressed, your baby is going to feel that too. And there's been studies that show, like, if you have long-term postpartum depression where you're not really seeking the help, you're not treating it, so and it's lasting for more than 8 months untreated and unchecked, that has implications for your baby as they get older. They're going to be more likely to have some behavioral issues and some mental health issues themselves. So learning that information, knowing that the information of them co-regulating, and then just looking in your baby's eyes and inherently knowing that, like, this baby is beautiful and perfect, and you want all this goodness for them, like that they learn it from somewhere, and it has to start at home first. So that was really what kind of catapulted me into digging deeper into myself, figuring out, like, where are these, like, negative self-thoughts coming from, getting re in tune to my body, and figuring out how can I make my body feel better, because I am a firm believer that if you don't feel good physically, you can't really feel good mentally. I think that, physical appearance aside, like, unrelated to, like, what the external body looks like, if you're not feeling good in it, and the movements don't come easily, and you don't feel strong and just able to do what you need to do or what you enjoy doing, that has a serious impact on your emotional and mental well-being.
It does. Yeah, I did interview two ladies that would totally relate to what you said. One of them is Dr. LJ Johnson, and she's specialized in endo and other women, I would say, issues like that. And she mentions how sometimes they seem not reliable, but it's actually their body that's not functioning. So when the body's not working, that it's difficult to present ourselves in our best way. And there's also
absolutely.
Lila Veronica, and she moves, like she teaches posture, and just like you, she was, well, not like you, but at a point in her life, she realized that she was like not in connection with her thoughts, and she started going more in her body, and that changed her drastically.
Yeah. I mean, our body is where we live, right? It's
exactly
our home. And I mean, you can think about it as I look around, and there are literally toys scattered everywhere right now. But like, but your home, like if your home is really a disaster and a mess, like that kind of reflects onto you. I know, like
it does. Yeah.
My husband and I, we always feel a little bit better after we like finally do a big clean of house. You're like,
I know.
oh, I could breathe. I could breathe easier. So why do we think it's any different when it comes to our body, the place that we really live? But yeah, absolutely. If you don't feel good in your, and I think, it goes both ways. Yes. And I think so much so that it's so interconnected that, in my opinion, we have to stop looking at like mental health in one category over here and then physical health in this other category over here. But they're so interconnected, it's global, that we have to start looking at them together as like wellness is one thing. It incorporates all of that, the physical, the mental, emotional piece of it, in order to really feel good. And once we start to really feel good and understand ourselves and know ourselves, flaws and all, then we can love ourselves.
Yes, that's right. And you were talking about your body, the pain, but also the change in the body. That's another challenge for moms, to accept that it's not all tight. Does it look like when you were 17? Did you how did you overcome?
Nor should it.
I know.
Really.
I know. And we know that it shouldn't, but that's not the image that we see everywhere. And generally, I would say that good, kind, loving husbands or spouses will be supportive. But it's more for us as women and moms to be able to go over it's like grief, basically grieving the body before maternity. So how did you overcome that challenge?
So by letting my body heal, by coming to terms with what are expectations that I'm setting, what are expectations that society kind of sets with, the bounce back culture, with the idea that, oh yeah, you have a baby and then you're supposed to, lose the weight right away. And that's not reality. Reality is, generally speaking, it takes 6 to 12 months to lose your baby weight.
Exactly.
And you're going to look pregnant for a stretch of time, and everybody's different. But it's at least going to be those first few weeks, if not those first few months, where your abdomen's still distended, because yes, you pushed your baby out, or your baby has been delivered, vaginally or via a cesarean, but we forget, like, everything shifts. Our organs are in different positions. Our uterus is enlarged, and it needs to come back down to size. Our body is meant to hold on to fat for those first months after baby, because whether we are choosing to breastfeed or not, our body is still designed to be in that state. So it's holding on, it's wanting more calories. So it's coming to terms with what's normal, what's our expectation of ourselves, and what the expectations that society is putting on us, and learning to kind of just let go and detach from the outcomes, and focusing on just reconnecting with your body, really feeling into your body and letting it heal, letting everything kind of reshift a little bit, allowing to bring attention to our pelvic floor, our inner core, to see, are we pushing too much too soon to try to get our body back, that we're causing causing more harm than good, because we're you know, putting too much strain on our body's not ready yet to handle that. And then you can end up with, either pelvic pain that becomes chronic, or you're ending up with urinary incontinence, fecal incontinence. So there's so many other issues that can develop if you're not ready and you try to push too soon. And then, with dieting and trying to get back your body in that way, or in combination with exercise, I feel like generally there's people who are going to do it through diet, or there's people who are going to do it through exercise, and not always both in combination. But depending on your tendencies, if you're trying to cut calories too soon, that's going to have an impact if you are trying to breastfeed. But even if you're not, it's going to impact your exhaustion, because you're not going to get a lot of sleep. So your body is going to need that extra support and those extra calories to kind of support you through all of the other stress that it's under. So it's coming to terms with that, like I said, and allowing it to heal and rebuild. So kind of just slowing everything down, focusing on more gentle movement at first, on exercises that really allow your pelvic floor to relax and to kind of lengthen what needs to lengthen. If there's a lot of tension in specific areas, focusing on that to kind of start easing the tension first, and then gradually rebuilding. I ended up doing it in a pretty therapeutic way, where I was very systematic in, okay, these are the exercises that I'm starting with, and I waited to a certain point, then I was able to kind of keep increasing the intensity of them to really kind of support what I was doing.
That makes sense. Going gradually, not asking too much of yourself in the beginning. I think a lot of moms need to hear that, that they don't have to go the whole 9 yards and be that super woman once they've given birth, to take that space that's theirs. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I was going to say, it can be really tough too if you are used to using exercise as your outlet or as your stress relief. For me personally, that was my way to let off steam, to reconnect with myself. I'm a runner, and I love running because I'm not fast, but I am a distance runner, and I've done like several ultras, several marathons.
Wow, congratulations. That's quite something.
Thank you. But I love it so much because, again, I'm not breaking any kind of records, but it's me time. It's time where I can really focus on my breathing, focus on how my body feels, because you have to be in touch with how you're feeling in order to kind of assess,
you're going to hurt yourself.
Can I continue? Exactly. And just like my time inside my head to clear my head, to think deeper thoughts and figure out what is going on. And you don't have that right away. And it can feel really stressful to not have that outlet. But it's
so what did you do, Arielle, instead of going and running? Because you couldn't do that, obviously.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do that until 12 weeks out. And we're cleared at 6 weeks for exercise, returning to normal, what have you. But for running and higher level activities like that, the wait period should really be 12 weeks. So I knew that, but it was. And I did the work to prep up, so that way when I was at 12 weeks, I could start really slow.
That's smart.
But in the meantime, it was really challenging. And that's when I started to get back to my yoga background. Not so much the physical practice, a little bit the physical practice with what I was able to do with what made sense for my body at the time where I was at. But more the breathing, the breath work. And a lot more journaling, something that I always thought about doing and really never did until after having a baby, because I needed that space that I wasn't getting from when I'm running to kind of sit through my thoughts and see, check in with myself. So journaling ended up becoming my outlet for that. And it became a really helpful tool with getting through the depression.
Are you still journaling right now?
I am, yes.
Oh, good for you.
It's I've kept up with it, and I've found it to be very helpful.
Let's fix mommy. And how would you say journaling and self-love relate together?
So for two things, I think depending on what kind of journaling you can do, and I kind of did a combination. I think if you're doing gratitude journaling.
Does he want to say hi?
Do you want to say hi? I have my earbuds in, so I don't even know if you'll be able to hear him or not, but you might be able to. If you can say hi.
But he could say, yeah, you could see.
Yeah, you gonna wave and say
hi.
Hello? Okay, you're sitting on your sister. So I think with gratitude journaling, that helps with the self-love, because taking a moment to kind of appreciate, I'm thankful for going through, all your body senses, what you're capable of doing, what you do have, can really put you in a better mood, keep you in higher spirits. Even if you're not feeling it 100% at the moment, because, I'm in a really good spot right now. And so gratitude journaling is a little bit easier than it was initially. But there's always something that you can find to be grateful for, even when you're feeling at your lowest. It may not be something about you per se, but it might be something about the environment that you're in, or what the weather is like outside. There's something that you can find, and starting to do small shifts can really snowball into bigger shifts.
It does. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And then
there was Sean Douglas also. He's a veteran, and he taught resilience, and he was mentioning the same thing, and he was bringing up how sometimes for some people that are down, it can be difficult just to be thankful because they're breathing. Do you have an opinion on that, and maybe some advice to tell those people that even if it does sound cliche? And I don't want to orient your. Go ahead.
I would say, just pick one thing, because sometimes with gratitude journaling, right now I'm doing 10 things each morning, and again, sometimes it's something that happened the day before. Other times it's something as simple as the electricity. I'm so glad I have lights on this morning, because I could see what I'm doing, or I can make my coffee, and even if I'm having a crappy day, at least I have my coffee.
Exactly. Yeah, it is a good thing.
So I would say start with one thing rather than trying to do 3 or 10, because that can feel really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I would say if you're struggling with finding something for yourself, or you're feeling so down that it is hard to, like he was saying, be thankful for the air that you're breathing for yourself. Think of it in terms of someone else. I'm so thankful for the air that we are breathing for my children. Or I'm so thankful for, again, something outside of you, an external circumstance, and how it can relate to somebody else or to your community. And just start outside of yourself if you don't feel like you can find anything within, because one, I bet you can, right?
Yeah.
I really challenge you to not be able to find something. But I know when you're feeling that low, it can feel so overwhelming. And then the shame comes in, because you're like, oh, I can't even find one thing to be grateful for about myself.
It has
and
on the pressure.
I'm living in a first world country, and all of these benefits. I shouldn't be feeling this way. In my case, that's kind of how I was feeling. I felt like, why am I so down? When if you were, from the outside looking in, things look really great. I'm lucky enough to have the choice of, am I staying home? Am I going back to work? There's just, I had a supportive husband, who was always kind of checking in, even though I found that really annoying at the time. So, it is it's not helpful to then tack on the shame on top of it. What you're feeling is valid, and there's probably some reason for it. And I challenge you to start to dig into what those reasons are, which was another reason that I found journaling really helpful. It really allows you to kind of see all your flaws and then find evidence for it or not. And that, for me, that was one of the most helpful things, especially coming from, a healthcare, more scientific type background, where you're like, okay, why are we doing this? I have a whole treatment plan, but why? What is the why behind it? And you're just, we're trained for so long to think that way. So then when you flip the switch on yourself and you're like, okay, well, I had some postpartum rage with the postpartum depression. So I'm just an angry person. Maybe I shouldn't be a mom because I'm just this angry person. And so, okay, find the evidence for that. And is anger always a bad thing, or is it just information?
Exactly.
So it's a lot about how you're viewing things. But back to that person that's really struggling with finding one thing to be grateful for yourself, look outside of yourself. And once you start to train your brain to see some positive things or things to be thankful for other people or for your external environment, you'll slowly be able to start to see more of that externally. And then you'll be able to start to shift it internally.
It changed the bias a bit, when we have the bias of confirmation, when we train our brain to see the positive, then we observe the positive. So I agree with you that journaling is a great tool. Whether it's journaling, well, journaling is the best because we actually have the kinesthetic, and we maybe have some sound, we see it. But if not,
it brings you into your body.
Yeah, exactly. This is good. Arielle. You have so many interesting elements to mention, and I do appreciate your scientific background and how you do relate to research. That adds a big plus. I think we did go overboard, but I'm still going to ask you if you have anything to add just to conclude before you tell us about the gift that you'd like to offer the viewers.
Yeah. So I guess what I will add is that postpartum is hard. So, postpartum meaning the time after baby, not necessarily postpartum depression. So whether you're diagnosed with postpartum depression or anxiety or not, postpartum is a really challenging time. And that's for a whole bunch of reasons. What's going on physically, emotionally, our brain is actually changing, our hormones are changing, the expectations and the way that our society is set up or not set up to kind of support you through the postpartum phase, that it is challenging. So don't be afraid to seek support. Even if it feels really hard, even if you feel like you're a burden, you're not. Please, seek support.
Most definitively, yes. Ask for help.
Yeah, and try to just be patient with it. Reset your expectations, allow yourself more grace, allow yourself more time to kind of start to feel a bit better. But with that being said, allowing the time to heal and to feel better, don't get stuck in the hard of it either. And that's where the support comes in.
That's a good point at the end, and that's where there may be a gray zone. Yes, but there's help out there. And if when people do seek support, they actually are able to do the healing, go forward at the same time, even if they're having some space, there's someone there still to challenge them in a kind, loving way to move forward and not to stay in a victim, let's say, mindset.
Yes, absolutely.
Arielle, you have a gift for our viewers today. I'd love you to tell us about it, please.
Yes. So if you or you out there listening, or if someone that is in the postpartum phase, just had a baby, or really any time within that first year, if you're still feeling postpartum, there's really no firm end to it. It's not necessarily just 6 weeks like we are led to believe. So if you're still feeling postpartum, you are. And if you would love to talk with me to see how I can help guide you through the challenges that you are having, whether it is from a physical standpoint or emotional standpoint. Chances are we're going to do a bit of both regardless because it's probably needed. I am offering to the listeners of Coconut Soul a 30-minute consult. So I would, love to hop on a call with you and see if we can kind of dive in and get a game plan going for how to support you through your postpartum phase.
That's really generous. Thank you, Arielle, to offer this free consultation. And I'm sure that moms that are listening today and they don't necessarily know where to go or to who to talk to. Sometimes there can be some barriers to talk with our family or friends. And you're kind, you're welcoming, non-judgmental. So you're a safe person.
Thank you.
To be able to call. Arielle, this went by so fast. It was
It
fun.
really did.
Yes.
We only had minimal interruptions from the kids, so that was good.
And you know what? We're talking about postpartum, being a mom. Myself being a mom of 4 children. I love children and they're welcome in this space. And I don't take myself seriously, and you don't seem like that type of person either. So for me, it was perfect and enjoyable. So once again, Arielle, thank you so much for your wisdom, for sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable and letting other moms know that they're not alone, but there is a way to get better. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nikki. This was great.
My pleasure. Yay!
It really goes very fast, I have to say.
It does go by fast. Yeah.
What a great interview. As Arielle has mentioned, your body is where you live. Your body is your home. Make sure to grab Arielle's free gift, free 30-minute consultation. Click the link below.
I drove drunk in 2010 and I broke my own neck. And
Wow.
if you can only imagine the not only physical aspect, but the mental aspect of trying to learn why, how, forgive myself, love myself. That's kind of where everything started,